Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Ignacio Esteban.
You better be taking practice. You better go to the range. You better work on it, because if that's your first time using it, that's not going to go well for you either.
Yeah, but so even if you're a felon, right, you have a weapon, someone that comes in your house, attacks you, you shoot them, you're going to prison for the weapon for a long time, right?
Yeah, but I guess rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Exactly.
Is that the same? At least you're alive because your family's alive, right? I'm not telling anybody not to do that. Of course, you don't want to do that. You obviously, I think you mentioned your story about the pepper spray.
Yeah, the pepper spray, where they bagged it in its bag.
Coming out there, and they're on your porch or something. They were trying to come in, and you sprayed them.
Kicking in my door, and I sprayed them, and the police were bagging the pepper spray like I did something wrong.
Did you ever get it back?
No. It was mostly empty. I sprayed the whole can.
You used it all. Okay, there we go. But you know what? You got them away, right? They left you alone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's something you have to do. You have to protect yourself somehow. I mean, obviously, if you're a prohibited person and you change your life, and now you can try to get your rights restored. Those are also options you have, right? And try to do different things. So
it's a possibility. I can try. I can really check into it.
Right. So those are things to do, but obviously, you have to come other weapons you legally can have to do something. But 911, I don't think that's going to work too long. It might take too long to get there.
What about bulletproof vests? A lot of people say they're illegal. You can't have them. Felons can't have them. What is your take on bulletproof vests?
Body armor? Yeah.
I
think that's not a bad idea.
Can people have those legally?
I believe so. Yeah, if you're not prohibited. Yeah.
But if you're a felon, can you have body armor?
I think if you're convicted of a violent crime, you cannot. It's a federal law. I'm not sure about the state. State could be different. Your state might have you. I suggest you look into state laws and see what they say. So I think whatever. I mean, it's not a bad idea to have it. I mean, you have an active shooter. Obviously, it's not going to stop a rifle round, right? Unless you have a plate, right?
Yeah.
But it's something. It's just a level of protection. It can't hurt, right? So there's a lot of things you got to think about. I mean, I've seen the teachers. Some of them do have that now in the classroom. I saw one teacher. I think I want to say it was in California. Was it? Maybe I'm wrong, but the state had a little packet there ready. She had her vest ready and whatever else she could to protect herself, to help protect the students. So this is the times we're living in, and I wrote that in my book. This is the reality of a 21st century America and how we address it and how we deal with it, because it's not going to stop. The guns are saturated all over. I mean, we're the number one producer of guns in the world, right? We have Europeans, companies who are making everything here. Glock is made in Georgia. 6 Sauer is made in the Northeast. Yeah, H&K made in the United. So they're all coming here.
Colt is from Connecticut.
Yeah, but those are European. These are American. Those are American. But these are Europeans are making all the guns here now because the demand is so enormous here, and they're good guns. I mean, I like purchase my fair share of weapons too to protect, and I encourage people to do so. That's a good thing. But make sure you train and go to the range and practice, and don't wait and get your concealed weapons permit. You don't want to cop a gun charge, and you have to be careful because a lot of places, unfortunately, they prohibit you from carrying, so they victimize you there again, right?
Yeah, like you can't go from state to state, right? You can't.
Some states you can. Some states you can't. Some will reciprocate your concealed weapons permit, but some will not. So you really have to look into it and make sure you're not going to get yourself felony charge either for that. So those are the things we have to worry about. So the election is coming up. Mm-hmm. I encourage everybody to vote. I think it's going to be my prediction, and I made it before. It's going to be a red wave. The Republicans take the House, and they're also going to take the Senate. It's 50-50. I think they'll gain at least 2 seats. My prediction, but for sure Nancy Pelosi will be gone. I think we'll gain about 40 to 50 seats. I thought originally it's going to be maybe 60 or 70. That's why it says tsunami, but it's going to be a major red tidal wave. I see it.
Can you break down really quick what the midterm election is for the people out there that don't know?
Yeah, it's done every 2 years, right? Where you have the House of Representatives, right? They're up, and then certain senators. Senators are every 6 years. So it's about roughly maybe about a third are up every 2 years, right? The way we rotate, because the senator is elected for 6 years, and a House representative is elected for every 2 years. So they're almost campaigning constantly, which is kind of rough.
Yeah, because it's like always
Yeah.
turning,
I know a lot of
right?
people ask me if I'm going to run for office in politics. I said, I did 26 years public service. I think I'm going to enjoy the private sector a little bit with what I'm doing and my projects. And I think I talked about my book. I think you see the poster here, ATF Undercover, that we just finished a TV pilot script based on my book to be made as a TV show. So we're now in stages to pitching that to some major networks. So we'll see how that turns out, but I wouldn't mind either. I mean, I do have a passion for politics, and I do like being here in Virginia. It'll be a closer drive than it would be in Florida.
Yeah, right. Being DC all the time, and
Oh, but again, it is very political too. But I do enjoy this. I do also enjoy what I'm doing here now. So I don't know, those are some options.
what about podcasts? Are you going to be starting a podcast or anything like
I
that?
like doing it a lot. I'm a guest in a lot. I think you've seen since I started doing, like I said, this time last year, I was in ATF headquarters. Then I retired a little bit early. I was in the summer. I retired in the summer of last year. And then I just started writing. And I think you have to tell a story how I started writing. And then my books got more popular. And I shout out to Hollywood Wade from Crime Entertainment. He saw my books I posted on his Facebook page on the One Percenters. And he had another agent that used to do undercover for the Hells Angels, Jay Dobbins. So I posted some stuff there. He saw my undercover book. He reached out to me if I want to do the show. And I did. And I got really popular with him. And I all of a sudden, it just snowballed. And I think I've done over like 45 shows, 50 since March.
That's a
Not bad.
lot, man. You're putting in the work. Shout out to Adrian too. Invest in yourself podcast. I don't think the kid gets enough credit. I think he's an
I,
underrated podcast, just like me, man.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But last two shows, if the audience can take a look at it, we did with old Chapo and with the Beltway Killers, DC Snipers. They've done well. They've done well. Keep on
Yeah,
watching and stuff. He did a short on me on my undercover story. If you haven't seen it, that's done really well, over 6,000 views for our. I mean, there's always bigger one, but not bad. And you'll enjoy that too. So yeah, I just did another show with Adrian too yesterday.
yeah,
So keep
yeah.
on
Shout out to
rolling,
him,
keep
man.
on doing those shows, and they're all doing well. I mean, I also did a good one. I know we're going to talk a little bit of one percenters with Scott Bernstein, right?
Yeah,
With Original Gangster and Jimmy Bosaletto. Shout out to those two guys, and that show did well. I think if you like all the stuff we're talking about, yeah, check it out, especially our shows too. There's a lot of stuff out there. So if you like my books, you can find me on Amazon. And if you like what I'm talking about, you can find us either YouTube or even Rumble. Some of these guys are putting some of this stuff in Rumble, and something you get more views out of Rumble than you do YouTube now, I'm noticing.
yeah. I just started to open up a Rumble, but I have to. You have to work
Yeah.
on getting your following. It's not like you just open a Rumble and boom, it's everyone's watching your shit.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Like
Yeah. But
I
the shows
wish.
I've been on, they've opened, they've done well. They've
Yeah,
done well. They've done better than I'm comparing them to YouTube, them both. And the Rumble seems like it's catching on because a lot of people put their shows in there that YouTube didn't want them there.
yeah.
So people like that.
It's
And
the
you're
stuff
seeing
that
that.
YouTube can't handle. Like you
They
can't
don't want
say
to.
it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I
They don't
hit
want
4,000 subscribers yesterday. Shout out to all my subscribers.
to.
4,000.
Congrats.
I'm really excited about that. And
Congrats.
I'm only moving up. It's
Yeah.
every day. It's subscribers every day, and I'm keep moving ahead. And so now we're gonna get into the one percenters.
Yeah. That's good, man. I've people know ATF. There's a lot of cases historically with what's a 1% of the violent biker gang. So you don't know much about this culture, right? One of my first books that I wrote, when it came to organized crime, was the One Percenters. It's called The Violent Biker Gang. I think I did back in February of this year. So you say, what's a one percenter? Who's the one percenters? I put the top six. There's other smaller groups, but I put the big six, right? I mentioned the Hells Angels. I mentioned the Outlaws, the Pagans, the Bandidos, the Vagos, and the Mongols, right? And I mentioned some other ones in that book, Sons of Silence, and a few other ones. There, you get an idea what they're about, what kind of cases, who's in charge of where. I mean, obviously, the face of the Hells Angels, Sonny Barger, right? That just passed away. Out of Canada with Mambo Shore, he also just passed away, and he was in prison for a long time. He died of cancer. You have Taco Bowman for the Outlaws that passed away 2 years ago. He did 20 years. He got life sentence out of Tampa, and I knew one of the prosecutors in that case when he got hammered, and he went away. And then, of course, ATF hammered the Mongols infiltration after infiltration. There's a good book written by Billy Queen that I read years ago. He infiltrated them in the 90s, and then they got infiltrated again in the 2000s. And it wasn't just one agent like it was to Billy Queen. It wasn't one. It wasn't just two. It wasn't three.
It was
It
like a
was
whole group of them, right? They all had
four.
patches on. And
Four,
shit.
four agents, full patch. And this was under Doc Cavazos' time under
Yeah.
there. And just give people why that would happen. And, his background, I'll talk about the Mongols here. His background was that he was raised in the South, in Los Angeles, and as a sureño, right? Gang member. He's raised in the gang culture in the avenues. And so he's been raised with that culture. He ends up being recruited by the Mongols. He comes in there and he goes up the rank to be president of the Mongols club, right? And then he ends up, but he's not, what I'm reading, he's saying he's not very, he doesn't think much of the guys that are there, right? He thinks a bunch of drunken old guys, and he needs to be feared. I mean, you want to be a badass 1%er, you can have a guys that are there, and he wants to recruit guys like we had when guys used to roll with the avenues. These guys are hardcore street gangs who pretty much are street gangs that work for La M, the Mexican mafia out of prison, and they call the shot for these guys. So these are badasses. So they have to do some, they're killers.
They
They're
don't even have
drug dealers.
bikes, right? They didn't even have motorcycles.
No, he's recruiting people that he wants to bring his boys in, and a lot of these guys don't even have bikes, right? They don't even know how to ride a bike. They bring up their pickup trucks, right? They're running around with their trucks. So that's not much of a biker gang when these guys are in their trucks. So, and you're skimming like that, and you're bringing, all these guys in here. It just opens up to infiltration, and that's what ATF did. And Operation Black Rain, what they bring in there. So the guys that got in there, they know that there's some issues there, so they want to bring in. They don't have girlfriends. They don't have any harassments or problems, right? So then I get hit on by someone's old lady or prostitutes or whatever. Say I got my girl here, or whatever. So they bring in 4 female agents. So you have 8 that infiltrated.
Double it up.
Double it up. Double it up in there. So that was the beginning of the end of Doc Cavazos out there. And the reason why they call him Doc was because I think he was a radio tech back in the day, and that's why they end up calling him Doc, and the name stuck there. And so then from there, he gets booted out of the club in 2008, right? And they think he's stealing. They're not happy because La M also says, listen, you got to pay us, they're taxing and say, you took some of our guys. You owe us money. You got to pay a tax. And he pretty much told them to pound sand. Well, that didn't sit well. And the Mongols are not going to win that kind of war with La M and Mexican Mafia. And the guys were getting shootings. They were getting killed. There were battles going on. So that was a disaster. And they found on top of that he's stealing. So the club booted him out. He wasn't just as the president. He's just out.
It's not
Done.
very smart to be doing things like that and then ride around with a patch on your back. It's like a bullseye right on your back.
No, they'll find you, man. They'll get you. That's not smart. You go to a party or anything like that, they're gonna know. Hey, look at these guys right here. And especially you're butting heads, and you don't want to pay tax. And you're taking their soldiers. You're taking their soldiers in your club, and you used to be part of that. No, that's not gonna sit well with those guys. So, a few months later, in a 3-year investigation, huge roundups taken down. All these guys are arrested. I think 60 some Mongols are arrested, and associates. Same with Doc Cavazos, and he ends up being one of the first to cooperate. So he pleads. So a lot of times the national president is the last one, right? He goes to trial. He goes fighting. No, he's the first one to sign on board and agreeing this was a criminal enterprise, and agreeing the patch they wore was part of that to help facilitate their criminal enterprise.
So is that the reason why they were trying to restrict the patch?
Yeah, they went after the patch. They wanted to seize it. The jury agreed with it, but the judge there at the time said that the government shouldn't pick and choose which crime syndicate, organized crime, they want to take symbols and not. And he said no. So they resubmitted, and now they're fighting again an appeal, see if they can, seize the copyright of the patch, which sends shockwaves, I think, to the 1%er world if they end up taking it. I think watch out, Hell's Angels, Outlaws, and the rest of these guys, right?
All of them. They'll take all of them. All of them will be gone.
Yeah, so that's out there. So watch out for that. The battle for the patch of these 1%ers, the government versus them. So that's going to be interesting. And then you had issues, of course, with the recent president that was also booted, Little Dave Santillan. They also allegedly his wife. If you go to YouTube or one of these online, you'll see the conversation that I guess he has been drinking. She thinks he's been cheating. She's upset with him. She records it on speakerphone, the conversation, and he's pretty much saying that he was talking to the case agent from Black Rain that he needs an exit plan, exit strategy because he's retiring. And he said, "You've been cooperating," and all that. So she puts that stuff out there. That blows up badly for him. And of course, then he's accused on the 2018 trial of providing information to ATF in reference to defense strategies. So it got really ugly out there. So
They stripped him of his patch, I've heard.
he got booted. Yeah, he got
Yeah.
booted out of the club.
So
He got
one
booted
of
too.
I don't
So
know
not one, but two.
I don't know if you know the twins. Do you know them?
From what club?
Southern California. One of them's in Southern California. The other one's in, I forget, Indiana or something like that.
Are they Mongols?
Yeah,
No, I don't know them.
them two twins. They're skinny kids. They're wrestlers. He was just on an interview with Full
Oh,
Throttle, and he was talking about Little Dave, and he was defending Little Dave.
yeah. You can say, I mean, is he? Why would he have an exit strategy, right? Why would you say those things, right? Just think about that. I was talking the same thing with Scott Bernstein when I went on his show about this, and it says, instead of going on the TV shows and trying to defend yourself, you better go in hiding because that doesn't sit well with anybody. So he needs to be, that's. And then I think now the wife, after posting it, she felt bad. I think they got back together or something. Now she's trying to recant what happened. So a lot of drama there. Interesting. Look at those videos. I mean, those are the drama and things you see with these clubs. I mean, it's bad news there. So, oh, and also, when I was working a lot of cases, you never saw the Mongols really in Florida, right? And just
Mhm.
recently out of Pinellas County, there were two Mongols that killed, I guess, a probate. They thought he was cooperating with being a snitch, and they were arrested. And normally Florida is considered an outlaw state, or used to be. So watch out for that next turf war. Where I was talking to, I think Scott Bernstein and others, that maybe the pagans and the outlaw and the Mongols are becoming allies to go against the outlaws for Florida. So watch out for that, for another possible biker war in that area.
Well, Bike Week's coming up next year, and we'll see what happens down there in Daytona and all that
Yeah,
because they all congregate together. That's where things are most likely to pop off.
yeah. So
So
if you
when
like if you like this kind of books, it's that book is the Mongol Nation: The Fall of Doc Cavazos. It's an interesting read there. If you want to know about Taco Bowman, infamous biker, you can read about him with the Outlaws, and then of course the Life of Sonny Barger, riding full throttle, riding with the Hell's Angels. So I got 4 books out there. Give you an idea. You can piece together out there, and then you can feel like, okay, I now I know a little more, and I can go a little bit deeper dive what's out there. And of course, I talk about it a lot. So if you want to match up on our shows, or Scott Bernstein, or Hollywood Wade, I've talked a lot about him. 1%ers. There's a lot of stuff out there. So enjoy the show, find out more about them, and then you know what they're about.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I
Yeah,
always
man,
do. Next time, I want to do a live with you, and we'll go live. We'll take some questions, and
that'd be
we'll
fun.
have we'll set up a live show, and we'll have a nice audience. It'll be good.
Sounds good, Bill. I look forward
Yeah,
to it.
man. Definitely. I always enjoy having you on my show, man. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out before we go?
Just regular guys. Always shout out to my family and for the support. I always enjoy that, and all the guys been working the shows with. Also, maybe shout out to Stephen Gillen with RMC, working on that script, make it into a TV show. We'll see how that turns out, and all the guys. So appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I look forward to having you on again. And make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And go in the description and hit the link, and you can get a copy of his book. Till next time.
All
Thanks,
right, Bill.
man.
Peace.
Thank you.